Now the election back and I'll die away. In short, this is what I have to say. Let us forget spites and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, Remember, the key to success is working hard.
Welcome to the hub again, another hour during the night time, during the evening time that we have to deliberate, to converse using radio and social media, the various platforms. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off tonight by saying there are certain people who give you the impression that they so love you, they so care about you, but deep down, all they care about is themselves, or all they care about is power. So they want to get back in power. So all of a sudden, they become the friend of the bus drivers, the friend of the farmers, the friend of the construction workers, the friend of the fishermen, the friend of public servants, the friend of everybody, because they want to get back into power. But they were in power for 20-something years, and they made you see your royal catch your tail. They had 20-something years to make things better for you. How much more years do they need to accomplish their mission? You are given 23 years and a half to do things that the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You never fulfill that oath you made. You never delivered on the things you said you were going to deliver on. And you believe the Grenadian people should still give you another 23 years and a half to come back and do what you didn't do in 23 years and a half. I mean, make that make sense. You were given, the Grenadian people gave you and your team 23 years and a half to do what you said you were going to do. Your plans, your programs, implement them, roll them out. And you stated clearly the objective was to improve the lives and living standard of our people, to better things for our people. But after 23 years of you being there, and we, the logical thinking people, the reasonable thinking people, retrospecting, looking back, we can simply conclude that you mess up. You mess up, but you still want to come back, and you still want us to give you more years to do what? You couldn't do it in 23 years and a half. You believe you will do it in 5 years. A term is just 5 years. I want people with a little sense to tell me how the old cock will deliver or fulfill what he couldn't fulfill or do in 23 years and a half in a term 5 years, because that is what he's asking for now. He said during the campaign, that's his last, right? He go in, one for the road. He did not get one for the road. The Grenadian people sent him home packing and crying. He was badly bruised and badly beaten. But right now, he's saying he wants another term. He wants to come back for another term. That is what he's saying now, the old cock. That is why he cannot call a convention. That is why he's waiting until he gets all the votes and commitments from the delegates that they will vote for him, and then he will call a convention. But you couldn't do it in 23 years and a half. You believe you can come and do it in 5 years, because you're saying to people, all you need is one term to do mischief, one term to come and spite and victimize people, because you're a revengeful person. So today, I had to laugh, because what I saw on display was a jealous person who was missing out on the many parties, the many events with dignitaries, prime ministers, because there is a level of jealousy being perpetuated by the old cock. Because in recent times, the old cock saw the Prime Minister of St. Lucia coming to Grenada and being at the side of the most honorable Deacon Mitchell. He didn't make any courtesy call to the old cock. They don't want to see the old cock. Then we saw the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis visiting Grenada and being by the side of the most honorable Deacon Mitchell. He never made any courtesy call to the old cock. They don't want to see the old cock. So all that is burning the old cock. Hence the reason the old cock is speaking about this government having parties and events and state this and ceremonies and so on. That is what accustomed to happening. That's nothing new. I have been around the old cock and his team of men and women, and they were drinking champagne with fork and eating shrimps with toothpick. They were having a merry time. They were having a ball of a time. But all of a sudden, the jealousy is creeping in, and he missed what he had. I told people, when this thing really soaks in, and he realizes there is no security around him with the 2 black vehicles and a cook to cook for him when he wants, and having all the different state visits and all the different events at his place and so on. It's different now. He has money. The old cock has money, but money is not all. He doesn't have power. He does not have the power that he once had, and he's missing it. And it's taking a toll on him. So he comes across as jealous, envious, grudgeful, bitter. He's vexed that he's not enjoying that kind of life. He enjoyed that life for 20-something years. 20-something years. And the people who used to be around him, they're no longer around him, because power attracts friends or acquaintances or people who want certain things, who want to be seen with certain people. And because he has no clout, no power, no nothing, they don't want to be around him. He's toxic. And they know that that old cock can't stand up as before. It's dead, right? So they know that. They don't want to be around something like that. There's no potential there. So with all of that, it is breeding, this anger within the individual. So I just laugh today. Laugh because even the people within the media did not show up. Only 2 journalists or reporters. Well, the usual individual, the woman, she always there asking rubbish, but she's a part of that clique, and the other one who trying something. But by and large, they did not show up. They are not interested in that anymore. That style of politics is politics of old, that confrontational behavior. I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing what you see happening to this creature of a man. But I am happy that Grenadians are more astute, more politically savvy, more aware of current affairs, more involved in the process. I want to ask this question though. For the last 20-something years, which group, which organization constantly call their supporters poor and vulnerable? And why did they accept that and still accepting it? There is a certain individual and a certain political party who actually know their supporters because they are poor and vulnerable, and they actually calling them in that name, the poor and the vulnerable, and they are proud to be called poor and vulnerable. And it is becoming a cuss word or cuss term. There are some people, the minute time they hear that, it pisses them off. Because these politicians who are badly beaten at the polls, they consistently call their supporters by that name. It's like you have fowls in the yard, or dogs in the yard, or whatever in the yard, and you call them by a certain name and all of them will come. That is this, it is a similar way they have been treating their supporters, the people who support them consistently. So that is how they have been treating their supporters. So every time they open their mouth, is about the poor and the vulnerable. The old cock mentioned poor and vulnerable today about 10 times in that presser today, about 10 times. It's not that the old cock wants to see you come out of poverty, or else the old cock would applaud the government with the WASH program, or else the old cock will applaud the government with the JUMP program, or else the old cock would have applauded the government with the tuition support policy. In fact, the old cock is angry that the government of Grenada decided to give every child, every young person attending TAMCC and NULO $810 tuition support. What the old cock said today is that the government should not give everybody who have children going to TAMCC and NULO the same tuition support. So there should be some left out because their parents walk in, or they believe that their parents have. It is the same thing the old cock did with the free textbook program. Remember, the free textbook program was introduced by the NDC, right? For every child, because we should never discriminate against a child believing that their parent or parents, they are rich and the others are poor because they walk in, because they have a vehicle. You might be surprised the amount of debt they're in and the amount of taxes that they pay to the state. So the old cock, during his time, decided to remove the private schools from receiving the free textbook. Yeah, don't forget that, you know. The old cock did that. Remove the private schools because the old cock said, well, they could afford. But they pay taxes like anybody else. But the NDC's policy was to give every child, because a child is a child, no matter who the parents be. So the NDC came back into power and they decided they're giving all the students who are attending TAMCC and NULO the tuition support. They're not watching whether the parent working or have a car or is considered to have or whatever. They're giving everybody. You know the old cock vex? The old cock upset that this government's approach to this, we all are equal here. We are taxpayers and all of us should benefit. The old cock angry, bitter. The old cock not concerned about you, the people of this country. In fact, the old cock made a reference to the citizenship by investment program. The old cock knows that that program is a very important program to the government in terms of the projection of revenue to come from that program, to meet expenses, to pay salaries, to help with education, healthcare, agriculture, and so on. So the old cock knows that that program is very important to this government. The old cock went on to say, well, that is where they're getting the revenue. That is what they're depending on to get revenue. And he said he understands, right, that 90% of the passports and so on and citizenship is coming from Russians. When I find out today, that's false. That is totally false. But the old cock knows by saying these things, it gets out there, and the Americans, the Europeans, the Canadians, and so on, they would not like that, as though they don't know what is going down. So then they would react by sanctioning, by restricting, by putting all kinds of barriers. That is what the old cock is seeking to achieve. You know? The old cock doesn't like Grenada. He doesn't like Grenada. He wants to see Grenada on its knees. And that's irresponsible. Very irresponsible. And that's the same Grenada the old cock wants to come back and govern. Wants to come back and be in charge of. But he wants to see Grenada on its knees, mash up, broken. So I just laugh today. And all that I continue to say, Grenadians, be careful with the old cock and his minions, surrogates, supporters, pundits. They don't like Grenada. They don't want good for Grenada. They don't want to see Grenada succeed. And there's a lot of jealousy. I remember vividly, the old cock thought he was going to be there for the 50th independence celebration. In fact, they were making all kinds of preparations for the 50th independence celebration. The old cock was so overly convinced that he will remain there and he will be the star for the 50th independence celebration. But the Grenadian people decided, we ain't want that old cock there. A good dancer must know when to exit the stage, or else all the applause will turn into boos. They will boo you down the stage. So the old cock was badly defeated. But the old cock was making preparations for the 50th independence celebration, because this is a major milestone. We would have thousands of Grenadians from the diaspora returning home, coming back to their homeland to celebrate 50 years of independence as a nation, 50 years of sovereignty. So he knows that. The old cock knows that. But the most honorable Deacon Mitchell will be the star. He will be the person there. Thank God for that. But I am saying to you, if you listen to the old cock today, you're getting the bitterness, the anger. The $7.1 or so million allocated for the 50th independence celebration. And there's a number of events and activities and so on. A number of things to be done, because we have so much of delegates and prime ministers and so on coming to Grenada. A lot of work must be done. It will be properly utilized. And if you don't want to go to a state ball or a national event where there is caterers, 3 caterers or 4 caterers catering the food, the drinks and so on, then remain home. Don't go. Or remain grumpy, bitter. The old cock is bitter because he is not in the driver's seat. He's not there. He's not in charge. That's what's going on, you know. He's jealous. He's envious. That is exactly what is taking place. And it's building up rage in him, a bitter camper. But folks, I want to move on. I want to say to you, when an individual who held the highest office, or almost the highest office in this land, who was protected, and that's a different subject matter. We move away from the old cock and so on and so forth. We are now speaking about something totally different. When an individual who held high office in Grenada, as high as the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, could go on national TV, radio, social media, and make statements regarding an ongoing investigation where someone was arrested and charged for the murder of John T. And that individual who held the office of Prime Minister and the office of National Security could go on a record and speak in such a way about the Royal Grenada Police Force. And mind you, for 20-something years, they protected him. For 20-something years, they were there doing their work, protect and serve. Come on, listen to a person who says he wants to come back and govern this country. Listen.
And I know there are a lot of issues that are concerning us. The security of this country is a concern of many, many people, because I know the level of violence taking place in this country and the amount of murders that we are seeing is frightening. And I mean, we talk about it. People are concerned. People who normally come to Grenada and say it's one of the safest places are expressing concern. And I know the issue of even the question of John T.'s death. I mean, I heard the story about somebody just walk in and say they commit a murder, and somebody saying that they commit a murder. I don't know anybody that just walk in and say, I commit a murder. You know, I mean, who are you fooling with this foolishness? I have no confidence, absolutely no confidence. And this is why I made a call that the leadership of the country must call for regional or international support. And I can't believe that should be turned down, because confidence is what you want to build. Because what you're doing now on the claim of solving some problems and arresting somebody is nonsense. I don't believe it, that they're credible. So,
And this is the level of irresponsibility, in my belief, that is on display by someone who was prime minister of this country for 20-something years. This is what this man will say. Look, the same police officers, the same police force, they serve this country and they continue to serve this country. I could recall some years ago under the NNP, because this individual is speaking about somebody walking into a police station and, saying they committed that murder. What's that effect? But I remember, and he said, but I think he said how that could happen, or, use words to that effect. I remember some years ago when that individual cut off the two heads and brought it in a bucket in the Grenville police station and told them that he just killed two people, right? Two persons walk in the police station, and there are other situations. So why would you then go publicly and speak so bad about the Royal Grenadier Police Force? They have a 90-something percent, 80-something to 90-something percent crime solving rate, the Royal Grenadier Police Force. But it's the same police force that this individual benefited from, in my belief, security-wise, vote for his party and so on, in my belief. So why then do you do these things? And as a responsible person, you don't go out doing these things, because, remember, he has supporters. He has people who follow him. And they would pick up this thing and run with it and say all manner of stuff against police officers, against the Royal Grenadier Police Force. Come on. This is a high level of irresponsibility. And we need to call it out. We need to call it out, because he's playing from the same book that he played from in 2008 to 2013. But what is different now, we have a lot of Grenadians who are more aware of what is going down in this country. They follow in current affairs, they follow in the politics, they follow in the economics, they follow in every single thing that's happening in the country. And you have people who are out there defending the government, promoting the government, educating people on certain things. During 2008 to 2013, the NNP dominated the airways and dominated every talk program and podcast and TV, this and everything. But they're not able to get through this time around. In fact, every time the NNP is featured on the news, the comments under that broadcast or that piece have been very negative towards the NNP, towards Keith Mitchell and all of them. People have had it with these people. They're fed up. People not interested in their message. And they know that, Don't fool yourself. They know that Grenadians are fed up with them. They can't stand them anymore. Just follow anytime. For example, tonight, they were featured on GBN news tonight. And just go and read the comments under that news. Just go and read the comments under that news. When Keith Mitchell was actually being featured with the two, I think the first or second items, the two items. First item in the news and second one. Go on MTV, read under it too. And all the posts are wrong regarding the rubbish that was said today. You go and listen. Just read. And you will realize the majority of Grenadians do not want to hear Keith Mitchell or the NNP. They don't want to see them. Sometimes I've been honest with you, Sometimes I normally would force. Sometimes it's against my conscience and everything like that to feature Keith Mitchell speaking, or you seen him. I don't want to do it. But sometimes just to bring across the message, I have to do it. But I know that the audience, right now I have 1,078 people viewing me online. Don't worry about the folks on radio and so on. They're listening to me. But for certain, I have 1,078 people viewing me on Facebook and YouTube put together, two of them put together, right? Of course, for Facebook, it will be far more than YouTube because you have more people on Facebook from my end viewing the program. So, for example, on Facebook, I have about what? Let me make sure. On Facebook, 838 people viewing me on Facebook as I speak. On Facebook, 838 people. On YouTube, it will be about what? 200 and something, almost 300 and something people. So when you put that together, it will make up the amount. But I am saying, I am certain the majority of people do not want to see Keith Mitchell. They don't want to see his face. It can give them nightmare. They don't want to hear his voice. I'm telling you. But they should know better. The NNP should know better. When they go out there and they speak, they follow the comments too. They read the comments and they realize that it's very negative towards them. People have had it with them. What Grenadians want to hear is the good news, the good stories. That is what Grenadians want to hear. They want to know that people are benefiting and this country is moving forward. That is what Grenadians want.
This is WASH, the Water, Access and Sanitation in Homes program, an initiative that's changing lives, eliminating disparities, and building brighter futures. This groundbreaking program is the flagship initiative of Nation Builders and is aimed at providing clean water and proper sanitation facilities to those who need it. It's simple. We believe that clean water and sanitation are fundamental human rights. Therefore, we are committed to providing all households in Grenada with these necessities by 2027. The goals of WASH are clear and straightforward. 1. We will ensure that every home has access to indoor running water. 2. We will provide equitable sanitation systems like bathrooms to homes that don't currently have them. 3. We will end the use of open defecation facilities such as pit latrines. And finally, through these goals, we will enhance social comfort and improve environmental aesthetics. The WASH program found its start in Belle-Isle, St. David, a close-knit community with unique challenges and potential. Belle-Isle is a picturesque place, but the socio-economic disparities are visible. Many homes in Belle-Isle lack access to basic amenities. In fact, our team identified 51 homes in the community that could benefit from our assistance. However, installing the necessary facilities can cost around 20,000 EC dollars per home. But with support from members of the private sector, we can make a significant impact, not just in Belle-Isle, but throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Join us in our mission to improve living conditions, promote well-being, and empower communities. WASH, clean water, happy homes, stronger communities.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that piece of production. And you know that the WASH program was launched on Saturday, and the first family got that bathroom facility, and they will be doing about 51 in Belle-Isle. And then they move throughout Grenada, because it is the hope that by 2027, all or nearly all the homes in Grenada will be with flushable toilets and bath. You know, so they're trying to end the pit latrines and make sure that all homes have running water. And that's really good. That is what you want to hear.
In other news this evening, 51 households in Belle-Isle are set to benefit from the Water Access and Sanitation in Homes, or WASH project, which was launched on Saturday at the Belle-Isle Community Center in St. David. We hear more on this from Troy Gill.
I feel so good. You know how good I feel, how glad I is today. Real glad. I feel real happy. Happy.
That was Juliet Creedland, a Belle-Isle resident and the first recipient of the Water Access and Sanitation in Homes, or WASH pilot project. 51 households in Belle-Isle will receive newly built bathroom and toilet facilities. The program will then move to neighboring communities spanning the Tri-Island. Speaking after Saturday's launch, Deacon Cecil St. Louis commended the decision to use Belle Isle as the pilot community, stating that many villagers have lived without basic bathroom convenience for years.
I think that this program coming to their community and recognizing their needs would lift them from the state where they presently are, give them a sense of personality and dignity, and help them to understand their real and true potential.
The selection process includes data collection, home visits where committee members will assess the size of the households and the facilities available or needed. Ken Whitman is project coordinator for the Belle Isle leg of the program.
We thought that we would build a model project. This is what we just opened there, so that the contractors, about 10 or 11 of them identified, would have a model to work with. So the next phase of the project, starting very soon, is we've already grouped the projects per contractor.
The goal is to eliminate the use of pit latrines by 2027 and to ensure that every citizen have access to indoor plumbing, sanitation, and clean water. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell used the opportunity to preach community spirit, encouraging villagers to put aside their political differences and embrace the positive impacts of the WASH project.
So it's not just about the concrete, it is not just about the tiles, the shower curtains, the toilet. It's about you, the citizens, and making sure that as a community you recognize that together you can improve your collective well-being. And this is important because we have, unfortunately, in the past, politicized and tribalized basic access to things that are important to all of us. Someone should not have to pick whether this house gets a bathroom or that house gets a bathroom based on who they perceive you voted for.
Also present at the launch was St. Lucian Prime Minister Honorable Philip Pierre. The installation of the necessary facilities is estimated to cost just around 20,000 EC dollars per home.
Right. So again, I am saying, folks, that is what our Grenadian brothers and sisters want to hear. Transformation, betterment for our people. Do you know we have thousands of households in Grenada using pit latrines or are without running water, indoor running water, like having a pipe inside of the house? Do you know the amount of households in Grenada that still depend on standpipe or some pipe somewhere in the community to get water? NNP has been in power for 20-something years, and they never saw the need to intensify such a program. So yes, coming to the election, around the election time, they did 1 or 2 bathrooms, and it was all election gimmick and tricks. And they never had class. You go and you look at the bathroom facilities that they built, and you wonder, but that's them. Just how they dress, just how they operate, just so they build in the bathroom facility during the NNP time. That's how they built the facility. But look at how the NDC did it. It's just classy, just different. It's with style and a nice feel. Let me say this also. Do you know that Keith Mitchell was the focal point for ICT? Not just for Grenada, but for the region for quite a long time. But hear this. It took the most honorable Deacon Mitchell to engage Flow to start the JUMP program, where students, where households, where families will receive the internet, get the internet at their residence, right? Their residence. So they will be connected with broadband service, and all they have to pay is $20. All they have to pay is $20, and they will also be given a device, a computer, a laptop, so they can search the internet and do research and do all kind of stuff, do their homework and so on, online. And they will also get literacy training in ICT. They go train them how to use the thing, the gadget and so on, how to use the internet, how to surf the net and so on. It took the most honorable Deacon Mitchell to do it. Yeah, not Keith Mitchell and the others. So they partnered with Flow. And I think 1,500 households will be positively impacted by this move, which is really, really great.
The JUMP program is a public-private partnership between the government of Grenada and Flow Grenada. It focuses on three core components: digital literacy training, providing connectivity with free devices, and offering subsidized broadband access. These components collectively aim to address the digital divide by empowering individuals with skills, ensuring access to technology, and making high-speed internet affordable. In an interview with GBN, Flow's Marketing and Communication Executive Troy Courtney went into details about the subsidized broadband service provided through the JUMP program.
Now, in the JUMP program, like I said, we'll be providing subsidized broadband, a free device, which would be either a laptop or a tablet, and we will also be providing free digital literacy training. The subsidized broadband is going to be at only $20 a month. So that takes a massive chunk of the cost of the customer, and that will be covered by the government and Flow.
The eligibility criteria for the JUMP program was also explained.
Currently, we're working with the government and we're taking applications to the SEED program. So anybody that you know that is on the SEED program, you can come in and you can nominate them to be a part of the JUMP program. And everybody that applies for the program must go through a vetting process, which will be vetted by the government of Grenada in order for them to be able to know if you're eligible for the JUMP program.
The long-term vision of the JUMP program in Grenada, according to Courtney, is to create a digitally inclusive society where everyone has the skills and tools to thrive in the digital age.
During the pandemic, we would have noticed that a lot of students were unable to, fully participate in school activities. And that's because they were unable to connect via the internet. Now, we want to curb that. We want to ensure that they have the tools needed to be competitive in the workforce, and we are providing them now with the means to be able to do so.
By providing digital literacy training, free devices, and affordable broadband access, the program will contribute to the country's digital advancement and inclusivity, thereby ensuring that Grenadians can actively participate in the digital economy, access educational resources, and connect with the world, ultimately driving economic and social progress. Individuals are encouraged to make referrals for family members or friends who genuinely need digital connectivity and education. This referral system not only helps identify and assist those in need, but also foster a sense of collective responsibility in ensuring equitable access to the program's benefits. Community involvement is also critical to the success of the JUMP program. Christina John, GBN News.
Yes, so folks, that's the JUMP program, and it's a pity you're not hearing much talk about it. And I am also pleasantly surprised that the NNP is not complaining about the $20 that they have to pay, that the people have to pay for the internet service, because they're complaining about the money that the people have to pay for the apartment or apartments in the condo-style housing schemes. They're complaining about that because they want it free. They want everything free. They're complaining about the $810 that the government is paying for students to go to TAMCC and NULO in tuition support. They said, well, the government should not stop there. Give free transportation too. Give free lunch too. Give free bags and shoes too. So I am pleasantly surprised that they are not complaining about that. The $20 that they will have to pay for broadband service. They're getting a free device, and they're also receiving training in ICT, literacy. so that they can navigate, they can use the device. But that is what Grenada has become with those NNP supporters and that organization, in my belief. They complain about every and anything. And once you start expounding further on that thing that they're complaining about, then they go to hide. So people now know that the Housing Authority and the government of Grenada engaged the banks and credit unions to facilitate people who want the apartments and want a loan to purchase the apartments so that they can easily access that loan. But here it is. Why some people believe that low income means no money? Let's have a conversation here. Why those NNP supporters believe low income means no money, means unemployed, means poor and vulnerable? Something is fundamentally wrong when you have people who should know better, who boast of having a doctorate and so on, giving their supporters this false idea that low income means no income, means unemployed, means poor and vulnerable. No, 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 no. Low income means that you're not rich and that you're not middle income. You're under that. So you have people who are working for $1,200, $1,500. They may consider themselves to be low income. But the NNP is out there saying, well, the house should be given to the poor and the vulnerable. Well, hello. The house, the apartments, they are low-income apartments. So why didn't you give the poor and vulnerable the apartments in Dabo Housing Scheme free, or Frequente Housing Scheme free, or Subi's Housing Scheme free? The NNP didn't do that. They gave them the apartments at a cost. And mind you, they are partly responsible, the NNP is partly responsible for the mess that we are in today with this whole housing scheme thing and these apartments, you know, because they gave them the apartments at a particular cost, and the occupants entered into an agreement with Housing Authority to pay the $150 a month, $150 a month, $175 a month, $200 a month. And under the NNP, they started paying and then they stopped. And nobody followed up. Nobody made sure that they paid. So now after 5-6 years of not paying, the whole facility run down. Housing Authority has to come and fix it because they are responsible for maintaining the facility. They have to insure the facility, pay $180-something thousand every year to insure the facility. So now they come and they say, but wait, you have 80% of the people occupying those apartments in the 3 housing schemes not compliant. They're not paying. They have not been paying. But mind you, Housing Authority came out and they talk about this thing. A lot of them run in and pay though, because they don't want to get the third notice from Housing Authority lawyers. They don't want to get that. So they go in and sit with Housing Authority and work out some payment plan. And that is all what Housing Authority was saying, you know. Come in, sit with us, and let's work out a payment plan so you could complete paying for your apartment. And with the new facilities, Housing Authority is not that dumb to fall into the trap like what happened with the first set of housing schemes. What Housing Authority is saying, if you want the apartment, if you want the 1-bedroom, if you want the 2-bedroom apartment, you need to go to one of those lending institutions, and Housing Authority, they already approached them to tell them about this, and the lending institutions, the financial institutions, they're all happy about it, right? Approach them, get the loan, And once you get the loan, you know you have to pay it because the banks, they have the kind of system in place to make you pay. All right? So they know that. So housing authority saying you want it, go, approach them, get the money, come and buy it cash. $55,000 for a one bedroom. Where in Grenada you can get a one bedroom concrete house for $55,000? Where in Grenada you will get a two bedroom concrete house for $73,000? That has to be low income. To build a house right now, it could be concrete and wood. It's $200 and something thousand, $300 and something $1,000. So for you to be out there talking about, it's the poor people and the vulnerable people. In fact, I would recommend that a person who is not working, a person who is not employed, right? A person who is not able to feed themselves and their family, a person who doesn't know where the next meal coming from, should not be given these apartments. Instead, the government should find some way and somehow to help them otherwise. And I was speaking to a friend today, and I said the same thing. Because you could imagine, you're a nurse, a police officer, a prison officer, a teacher, a farmer, a small business owner, a fisherman, a woman who working hard, earning their daily bread, making ends meet. They have a steady income coming in. And you take these people, they go into these housing schemes, right? They purchase their stuff, and then you bring some people that they call poor and vulnerable, have no form of income. All they will do is to stay in the house and make plenty children, because you know them. Plenty children. They unemployed, minding people business, making confusion, smoking weed, and chopping the line. You know what I mean by that? And doing any old thing. Then they would cause the facility to depreciate in value and everything else. So you have to screen and make sure that you have the right set of people in these facilities, or else you will be creating a mad house, a crazy house with social ills and problems. That is what you find in some of those other facilities, because they just pick up these people, they call them poor and vulnerable. They give them the apartments. They're not working anywhere. They cannot pay the $40,000 or $30,000 or $50,000 that they charge them. And you go inside those facilities, and because they're not paying, they're mashing up the doors, they're mashing up the windows, they're mashing up the lights, they're mashing up the plumbing this, they're mashing up the sink, they're mashing up everything, they're mashing it up. They're wrecking the thing. No ownership. Because they don't understand what it is to work hard and own something and take care of it and cherish it. Because you don't know where you're going to get the next money to get another one. They don't know how that feels. Right? And mind you, some of these people who talking about the poor and vulnerable, they don't want them to live close around them, They don't want them to be living close around them. Look at where one went. One go quite up in Diamond. Quite up in Diamond. Right? And the original owner of that facility, well, he died, may his soul rest in peace, that facility was not as is now, All kind of barrier and fence and wall and to hide. He doesn't want the people around to be close to him. I'm telling you, most of them, they don't want the same people they call poor and vulnerable. They don't want them around them. They don't want them to be staying close around them at all. Because most of these people, they live in gated facilities. They don't want these people close to them because they know what they would get when these people are around them. So some of them can't face the reality. I am saying, all around the world, you have to be able to screen these people properly, right? To make sure that the people who are going in those facilities, that they will take care of the facilities, that they have a certain income, right? So when the folks go to work, they would not be breaking them people place because they live in the facility. They would not be doing all kind of nasty things in the place, selling all kind of drugs and all kind of stuff, and making it a ghetto, a slum. That is what they want, you know. That is what they want. But they're not going to get that. And they know they're not going to get that. They could talk from here until thy kingdom come. They're not going to get that. Because now that they have to find the money, now that they have to find the $55,000 or the $73,000, they have to go and take a loan to get it. Certain people will never be able to get into those facilities, to break it up, to mash it up, to sell drugs, to do all kind of nastiness there. You would not get it. It's not free. It's not a situation where you sign something with the housing authority and you come and pay this month and you don't come the next month and the next month you don't pay because you believe it's government. It is what it is. You have to have a certain standard. You understand the point? And I'm saying to all of them that are opening their mouth, some of you don't want these poor and vulnerable people to be living around all you. Because you know how they does function. How they does treat things. And I know what I'm talking about. I'm not guessing that. All you need to do is to go to some of those housing schemes that the NNP gave these people apartments and told them that they have to pay in writing, you know, written agreement. They have to pay 30-something thousand, 40-something thousand, 50-something thousand. The majority of these people ain't working no way. They can't pay it. And then a whole pile of children. So you have a 1-bedroom and they have 5 children living in it. Something has to be wrong. So you're creating problems upon problems. You have a 2-bedroom and you have 20 children, 15 children, 10 children in it. And the parents, they're not working. Come on. That is what the NNP was creating, you know. Slums. Projects, they call it project slums, ghettos. They have no standard, no caste, no nothing. Vike, any old thing, you understand the point? That is what they were creating. So they vex. They vex with the position of the housing authority and the government of Grenada. Yeah. But folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program tonight. Remember, this program is funded by people just like you who give financially to keep it going, to meet the commitments, to pay the bills and so on. I want to urge you to give. You know my number. It's right there under the screen, under the program itself on Facebook. My number is the easiest number to remember, 415-4817. Send me a WhatsApp message. Hey, Kemba, I want to give something to the program. I want to support the program. I want to make sure that the program continues. It is easy like 1, 2, 3. You know my number, 1473-415-4817. Give to the program to keep it going every month. We have commitments to meet, bills to pay, to keep it going because, you know, I don't do ads, promo and so on from business places and so on. 1 or 2 people and the party and, you know, would send me stuff and I'll promote it. For the last couple of days, we have been very busy with issues. But of course, I will try to feature some of them as we move forward, as we go forward. Right? So I'm urging you, if you out there, you want to give something to the program, you can holler at me and you can do so. Take good care. I'll be back with you tomorrow, God's willing, starting from 8 in the a.m. You know, we have to continue that mission. We have to continue that journey without ceasing. Because the NNP and the goon surrogates, zygotes, and sycophants will not go to sleep and allow the NDC to peacefully govern and bring prosperity and opportunities for people. They will not do that. We are up against all the disinformation, the peddling of lies and falsehoods, and they will not stop. And they do so bold-facedly, for want of a better word here. We are up against that kind of force. Those obstructionists, those opposition forces who just don't want prosperity and opportunities to come to our people. But we must ensure that they do not succeed. And we must ensure that we become the defenders of prosperity and opportunities. Take good care. Have a wonderful